Many people are looking to move to the state of Florida, and everybody has a different set of reasons for coming here. It could be because they just want to live in a more tropical climate and get out of the cold. It could be for the tax reasons. We don't have state income tax. It could be they want to be closer to family and friends that live down here. This is my dog, Carly. She wanted some love. Or it could be a bucket list thing, especially after COVID. They decide that this is something they've always wanted to do, so here they are. And actually, some people move to the state of Florida just because of political reasons, because of the political climate, either here or where they're coming from. But really, regardless of the reasons why you choose to come here, that there are certain things that everybody should know before they get here, before you sign that contract, before you make it official. So I'm gonna cover all those things today in this video. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas, and each week I bring new videos about living in the state of Florida, all about moving here, what it's like to live here on the West Coast in the Sarasota area, and then all things real estate. So if you've been thinking about making that move and you're doing this research, then this is the channel for you. So be sure to tap that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and keep on watching. And then when you're ready to take it to the next level, then please don't be shy. Give me a call, text, or email me. I'm happy to talk with you to help you determine if living in Florida, living in the Sarasota area is a good fit for you. And then if in the end it's not a good fit, that's okay. I'm also happy to help connect you with, hi baby, an agent in another area, another city, and vet them for you so you're well taken care of. There are so many wonderful reasons why living in the Sunshine State, living in Florida is wonderful. But not everything here is always the beaches and sunshine. There are a few pitfalls, and I want to make you aware of those up front. Now, some of the things are really bigger issues. Some are a little bit smaller. Some are almost even more comical. And then some things are just good to know. So that's what I'm going to do today, is go through the 8 great things you should know before you move to Florida. Number 1, flood zones. Okay, this is one of the biggest questions I get it all the time. And it's, I don't want to be in a flood zone. Or what does that mean if I'm in a flood zone? So let's talk about that just for a bit. Now, first of all, if you are getting a mortgage and the property's in a flood zone, then you're required to have flood insurance. If you're paying cash, you do not have to have flood insurance. In fact, you don't have to have any insurance at all if you're paying cash. Not that I recommend that, but that's an option. So what you want to look for is each property is in a certain flood zone code. And so if you see a property that's zone X or X500, that's the good one. Okay, that means that you are not required to have insurance because that's the lowest risk of flooding. So think X marks the spot, that's the good one. Now, other common codes that I'll see are V, VE, A, AE. If you see those, that means you are in a flood zone, and if you're getting a mortgage, you have to have flood insurance. So you have to be careful with that. Now, the next question I always get is, okay, well, how much is the flood insurance really going to be? Like, how bad is it? Because maybe I'm okay with that. Well, there's no quick and dirty answer on that because it can vary from house to house. It's all based on the elevation of the land and also with the structure. You can have 2 homes right next to each other, and their rates for that flood insurance could be completely different. So there's no good answer. It could be, less than $1,000, or it could be more than, $8,000. But this is how the insurance agent will know what to charge you. This is how they figure it out. You're going to have to provide them a copy of elevation certificate. And you get the elevation certificate from the same person who does the survey on the property. They can do both things at once. Another thing that we can try to do is ask the seller if either they have a copy, an updated copy of an elevation certificate that might work, and we can present that to an insurance agent. And then also, if the seller is paying for flood insurance, we can say, okay, how much does it cost you right now, and who's your carrier? Now, you could turn around and call that same carrier and try to get the same policy, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same price. But it would at least maybe give you a guideline to have an idea of what it looks like, what you might be paying. Now, let's go back to flood zone X, because you might think, well, okay, flood zone X, I don't need to worry about it. But like I said before, it just means that you're at the lowest level of risk for flooding. Now, there were folks in Texas last summer in 2020 who thought that they weren't going to ever flood, and sadly, a lot of those properties did flood just because of the way the storms were. So if flooding is a concern to you, even if you're in that flood zone X, you can still talk to the insurance agent about securing flood insurance, and your rates are going to be pretty low for that. So if that's something that was going to bring you a level of comfort and peace of mind, then you can still secure that flood insurance. One other quick little thing about flood zones is the same property could have more than one flood zone. Sometimes it's just a little corner of the property could be in a flood zone, and then in that case, most likely you might not have to have flood insurance. But if maybe the backyard is X, but right through the house it's AE, you're paying for flood insurance for sure. So like I said, sometimes a property can have more than one code attached to it. And then what we can do is ask an insurance agent, say, hey, what do you think about this? What might this look like? And we can ask before we even put in an offer. Number 2, local lender. Now, when you go to purchase down here, I strongly encourage you to talk to a number of local lenders, and I can provide 3 or 4 names to you to call and get pre-approved through them. And in the end, it really does help you. And I don't say that, or other agents don't say that because these other lenders are buddies of theirs or whatever. We don't get any kickbacks. That's against the law. We would all get in major trouble if we did that. But what it does is it really does help foster for a better experience, purchasing experience, and getting into the closing table. And here's why. Number 1, first of all, these lenders' reputations are at risk because they're here, they're local, we can talk to them. Not that I've really met all of them in person, but if I wanted to, if I had to, I could walk into their office, look in their eye, and they know that as agents, we all talk. If some of us start having a poor experience with somebody, they're going to be struggling, to get more business from agents. So first of all, it's their reputation versus somebody who's just works out of, up in Atlanta or out of some big city that if the deal doesn't work for them, there's no skin off their back. That's not their name is on the line. Second of all, it really does put you in a better position, and listing agents will look at your offer more favorably with a local lender. Even when we're up against cash offers, we've got to position ourselves as best as possible. So if we're using somebody that nobody's ever heard of, or some guy that's out of Chicago, versus somebody who's right downtown on Main Street, that listing agent seller is going to go, oh, okay, that's somebody who's here. And so it gives them a little bit more peace of mind. So that's really, really important to do. And then third of all, the big banks and the .com type companies, the ones that do major advertising nationally, they don't always get the job done well. It doesn't mean that you don't close ever, but sometimes there tends to be more hiccups, more hurdles, things like that. Sometimes closings get delayed. And so the reputation of some of those companies and those big banks aren't very good. So even for me as a listing agent, I see somebody from a local lender compared to, like I said, a .com type company, that doesn't sit well with me as much. And so I talk about that with the seller, the pros and cons. In the end, the seller is the one who decides, but I'm going to counsel them and share with them my experiences because that's what they're looking to do. And that's what the other listing agents are going to do. Now, quick story for you. Quick story. All right, tomorrow I'm closing on a home. And when we went to go get under contract, there were multiple offers. Buyers are getting financing. I gave them the names of several lenders to call. So they chose one. And when I presented the offer, of course, I included the pre-approval letter. Well, the listing agent was very familiar with that particular company. It wasn't so much the individual lender, but the company. And she thought, I know they do a really good job. So first of all, we stood out because of that. Then she calls the lender. This is a Sunday afternoon. She calls him on his cell phone, and says, hey, let's talk more about these buyers. Are they quality buyers? How strong are they? How are you going to work with us? And he put her mind at ease in terms of the buyers and that he is a team player. And that's the other nice thing too about these local lenders. They will call the listing agent. They'll go to bat for the buyer, and it's awesome. So here it was Sunday afternoon. By that evening, Sunday night, we were under contract. Now, the terms of the contract were really good too, but that local lender really put the bow on top for us and sealed the deal. And I'm so happy and proud of him for doing that. I was so grateful he picked up his phone. But that's what a local lender does. And so he's gonna really, or she is gonna really help you, make you stand out a little bit more than some of the other offers. Okay, let's lighten it up a little bit. Number 3, don't feed the animals. That's right, please don't feed all the wildlife down here. We're talking seagulls, alligators, some of the other birds we have around here, because once you start doing that, they tend to get a little aggressive and demanding. And of course, with alligators, that can be dangerous as well. So please don't feed them. It's not unusual for these seagulls because after a while they get pretty aggressive. You could be out at the beach or at a park or somewhere where there are seagulls around, and you can start to put a piece of whatever in your mouth. You're eating a sandwich or a hot dog, and that bird will come and swoop down and take it right out of your hand before you know it, just because they've gotten pretty bold. Or if you want to annoy the people around you when you're at the beach, if you take your potato chip crumbs or kids have fishy crackers. I know it's fun to see all of the seagulls come together all at once and run through them, things like that, but you will really annoy your neighbors at the beach. So I warn you, please, don't do that, or do it selectively, maybe when there's not people around. But those birds, those animals can get pretty aggressive. Now, my parents do live on a lake, or it's really like a retention pond, and they have ducks in their pond, and there's other wildlife too. There's lots of turtles and things like that as well. But there's one couple, Mr. and Mrs. Duck, who are always in their pond. And over the years, my mom has been feeding these ducks. They actually go to a feed store and they buy like official duck food. And they also take bread and things like that and throw it out there because the turtles like to eat it also. But if my mom doesn't keep up with feeding those ducks, they definitely come to the back door, to the screen door of the lanai, or the cage by the pool, and remind her that they're ready to eat. So you've got to be careful with those. Now she's got them pretty well under control now. And my dad actually built a nesting box for the ducks. And so they've seen many a duck families start, little children come and go over the years as well. So it's kind of cute. But just be really careful about the wildlife that you feed. Number 4, utilities. Okay, this is a question I get all the time, is how do we pay for utilities, or how is that structured? Because it's different everywhere you go. So generally speaking, in Sarasota and Manatee Counties, if you've got, public water and sewer, then through the county, either Sarasota County or Manatee County, you're going to contact them to set up water, trash, and your sewer. And you'll pay them that way. It's all in one bill. It's not like separate trash like there is in other areas. And then for electric, it's FPL, Florida Power and Light. Now there's a few places where I think it's Peace River, but otherwise that's generally speaking what you're looking at. And then in terms of internet and cable, it's primarily Frontier, or what used to be Verizon, and Comcast. And of course, both those companies don't service every area, but they service a lot of the areas. So that's primarily who you're going to look at. And of course, you could get Dish and different things as well, but that's what you're looking at. And that's how our utilities are structured. Number 5, homeowners insurance. Okay, this is a really important topic, so I hope everybody sticks around and listens to this one. This is crucial. First of all, right now we are getting into hurricane season, and that's really important to keep on your radar if you're looking to close on a property during this time of year. And this is why. If there is a storm brewing out in the Atlantic, and there's a scale on like how dangerous the storm is and things like that when this will apply. But if there's a storm out there, then an insurance company will not secure your insurance. And it doesn't mean that the storm is coming to Sarasota or whatever city you're gonna be buying in. It makes no difference. If there's a storm brewing out there, you cannot get your insurance bound. So if you wait till the last minute and you're closing on a Thursday and you wanna get this bound on a Monday or Tuesday and there's a storm out there, you're not getting insurance, and there's a good chance you're not gonna close on time. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's a big problem. And you say, well, so if you're getting financing especially, then you definitely can't close. If you're paying cash, you can certainly close, but you can't go back to the seller and say, hey, I can't get insurance. I know I'm paying cash. I know I can't get insurance. I don't want to close yet. Too bad, so sad. You're buying that house because there's nothing in the contract that says it's contingent on you getting your insurance together. So that's a huge thing. You've got to keep that in mind. Don't delay in getting your insurance figured out. Second, insurance companies are really cracking down on the condition of properties before they're going to give you a new policy. And here's why. There are some folks out there who aren't being very legit about whether or not maybe the condition of the roof or different things are due to a storm or something that really falls under homeowners insurance. Because as you know, homeowners insurance is not there just to make up for regular wear and tear. It's because of something more catastrophic. So if we had a storm come through and shingles came off your house because of a storm or a hurricane, that would be covered. But if it's just the end of its life, the insurance company shouldn't be covering it. Well, people are taking advantage of insurance companies and having them replace roofs and do some other major things. And now as a result, the insurance companies are getting really tapped out. So as a result, they're overcompensating by saying, listen, these roofs can't be more than 5 years old or 10 years old. And let's say even if a roof is 12 years old and you know there's a good 5, 6, 7 years of life left on it, it could be free of leaks, no issues, the shingles aren't curling, it's in great shape, and there are some carriers out there who will not give you coverage. So this is a good warning for both sellers and buyers, because as a seller, you could have some issues with this. It's a huge thing. Another thing, an insurance agent told me just today is something that some of these carriers are looking for is pride of ownership, actually. So if there are things that they see in what's the 4-point inspection, and that's something that most carriers are going to ask for on a property unless the house is like super new. The 4-point inspection, which you get from the inspector, so it covers electric, plumbing, AC, and roof, and there will be photos attached. And if in those photos they see that, man, there's no pride of ownership, that seller is not maintaining that house, doesn't mean the buyer is going to. They might deny you coverage based on that. And an example this insurance agent gave me is trees that were overgrown and touching the roof and hanging on the house. That's lack of pride of ownership, because those trees are gonna ruin the roof. It brings bugs and critters in and things like that. So that's a really big deal. So as you look at properties, even if you say, I don't mind a fixer-upper, I don't mind this, I don't mind that, and that's all fine and dandy, but if you can't get insurance, then that's gonna be our dilemma. Now, as I mentioned, I've got great relationships with a number of insurance agents. And even just yesterday, I emailed out stuff to a bunch of them, in the last 24 hours, I've talked to 4 different insurance agents about some very specific things. And, they're just giving me so much insight on what's happening. And this has only been coming up in the last 4, 5, 6 months. This is new stuff. And so we have to be even more critical, I guess I could say, of homes as we look at them. I've got to look at it with a more discerning eye to help protect you, so we don't get you down a road where it'll just be disappointment and money spent for no reason, because then you can't get insurance. So that's what we're up against lately. And it's very frustrating for people, and I feel very, very bad for buyers, just because I feel like it's been one hurdle after another for them. Number 6, don't hold back. All right, you're thinking, what does that mean? Why don't hold back before I move to Florida? Well, as you start talking to a real estate agent, before you start talking to me, right? There are some folks who are just more natural talkers. That's me. I'm a talker for sure. And some people are very transparent, and it's easy for me to get to know them and understand their lifestyle and what's happening. And other people are just a little bit more reserved, and that's okay. I'm not expecting everybody to be a chatty Cathy like I am, but it's so important for you to be transparent and not hold back when you've got somebody like a real estate agent trying to help you find the best property. And here's why. Here's some of the things that I would need to know. Do you have any pets? If so, how many? What are their size, their weight, their breed? That makes a difference too. Do you have a motorcycle, a truck, a commercial vehicle, a camper, a boat? Do you plan on running a business out of your property? All of those things are so important because there's some communities, some neighborhoods or condominiums that don't allow any of those things. There are some condominiums out there that do not allow motorcycles. There's some that do not allow you to have a pickup truck. An SUV is okay, but not a pickup truck. And I know that there are some pickup trucks out there that are more expensive than most people's cars, but for whatever reason, that went on the rules a long time ago, and that association, no pickup trucks permitted. There's some people whose trucks or vehicles are so big that they don't fit into all the garages. Well, there are some communities where you're not permitted to maybe leave your car out overnight. It's got to be in a garage. Or maybe they just don't want trucks out overnight, but a car could be. And so there's all these different things. So please don't hold back, be transparent so I can help you out and help you figure out what's the best fit. Sometimes people ask them questions and they don't want to talk so much. And I understand that some people are more reserved, and I respect that. But in order to help us find the right property for you, we've got to know a little bit more about you. Number 7, the 50% rule. Now let's go back and talk about some flood zones again and FEMA. There's something else besides flood insurance you have to keep in mind if you are in a flood zone. FEMA says that you can only do certain things with a property when it's in a flood zone. Otherwise, you have to bring the whole house up to code, which with some properties that would be near impossible if you're in a flood zone. But what you can do is you can make repairs or updates in phases, baby steps. So this is what you do. You have to look at what the assessed value of the structure is, not the land, just the structure. And then you can make updates or improvements to the property up to 50% of that number. So if the assessed value is $100,000, you can do $50,000 at first, then you get the house reassessed, and then maybe the new number is 175, or let's say 200 to keep the number simple. Now the next phase is you can do $100,000 worth of work on the house. Again, get those permits closed out, the house gets reassessed, and then if you want to do more work, you can. And as you can imagine, that first $50,000 would go really fast, because if you're thinking maybe you need a new roof or windows, all those things, it can add up pretty quick. Now the general contractors, the good ones around here, already know this, and they can help you figure out how to phase it out and help you navigate those waters just to keep you out of hot water. Number 8, turn off those hazard lights when it's raining. That's right, in the state of Florida, it's actually against the law to have your hazard lights on, those flashers on in your car when it is raining. Now, I do know that in other states, it's law that you do have them on. But here the idea is if you have your hazard lights on, if those lights are flashing, that means that you're stopped. So if you turn those on and you're still driving down I-75 or just down one of the main roads going down 41, people are gonna assume that you've just stopped. And with our rain here, it rains so hard sometimes, so fast, it's really difficult to see anything except for those lights. So they see those hazards, they think, oh my goodness, that person's stopping. They're gonna tap their brakes, maybe unnecessarily. So if it is raining really hard and it makes you a little nervous, which I understand, then just pull off to the side of the road for a bit. You can turn your hazards on then once you're stopped. And really, if you wait 5 or 10 minutes, most likely the rain's gonna pass, because that's what our rainy season's pretty much like. Hard rains really fast, and then it's over most of the time. So here are the 8 great things to keep in mind before you move to the state of Florida. What do you think? Were you surprised by anything, or do you still have some lingering questions? And then for those of you who do live in Florida, what did I miss out on? I know I didn't cover everything to know, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a variety of things. So for those of you who do live here, what was something that you wish you were told before moving to Florida? And that might help other people. So for all of you guys, please put that in the comments below so other people can see that and I can see your questions and I can use some of this material for future videos. Now here's my YouTube comment of the week. Chris, I think it's Ciaccio, I'm not really sure. I think it's Italian, and I'm not very good with Italian words. Like Neil Communities names all their places, a lot of their places after Italian things, and I slaughter those words all the time, and I'm German. So, but anyhow, Chris says, can we send this woman to Massachusetts? Well, Chris, I hope that's a compliment and that you would like me to go there. to be of help to people up there in Massachusetts, but maybe you just want me to leave the state of Florida. I don't know, but either way, that's okay. I do appreciate you watching my video, and I appreciate all of you guys watching my videos too. And don't forget, I'm here to help you out. Feel free to give me a call or email me. We can set up a time to talk, or we can do a Zoom session together. That's always fun, so I can see you as well. So two-way street, then we can kind of even the playing field a little bit. But again, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button, and you guys have a great day. Take care.